Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our English literature session. Today, we are beginning a detailed study of Alexander Pope's famous mock epic poem, The Rape of the Lock. Before we start reading Canto 1, we will first discuss the letter Pope wrote to Mrs. Arabelle Fermor, which appears at the beginning of the poem. If you have the original text, you can see there is a letter which was actually written by Alexander Pope to Mrs. Arabelle Fermor, which appears at the beginning of the poem. This letter is very important because it helps us to understand why Pope wrote this poem, what his intentions were, and how he wanted to handle the real life incident in a light and humorous way. After that, we will begin with Canto 1, reading and explaining it line by line in a simple tone, along with its meaning, poetic devices, and context. So, let's begin our literary journey with curiosity and focus. So, before we read the poem, it's very important to understand the real incident behind it. Uh, in 18th century England, a small quarrel took place between two aristocratic Roman Catholic families, the Fermors and the Peters, because Lord Peter had cut a lock of hair from Arabelle Fermor's head without her permission. This led to social tension and embarrassment. So Alexander Pope, was friend who was friends with both families, wrote this mock epic poem to bring humor to the real situation and help to make peace between these two families. He later added a dedicatory letter to Arabelle Fermor in 1740 of the this is in the version of the poem, right? So this is the letter you can see in the screen. You can see on the screen. This is the actual letter which was written by Alexander Pope. So the tone of the letter is very polite, respectful, and witty. Pope is trying to explain his intentions clearly, that the poem is written just for fun, not to hurt or insult anyone. He wants to show that even small social matters can be turned into great poetry, but in a way that is humorous, not offensive. So, this is the letter. Uh, in briefing, I can say that the tone of the letter is polite, respectful, and witty. Pope is trying to explain his intentions clearly, that the poem is written just for fun, not to hurt or insult anyone. So he wants to show that even small social matters can be turned into great poetry. So basically, if we talk about the purpose of the poem, so Alexander Pope's prefatory letter addressed to Mrs. Arabelle Fermor, right? So basically, it serves multiple literary and social functions. It is not merely an introduction to the poem, but also an important historical and rhetorical gesture. It's a reconciliation between the two families. So, the primary and immediate purpose of the poem and this letter was to calm down the real life quarrel between the Fermor and the Peter families after Lord Peter cut a lock of Arabelle's hair without her consent. So the incident escalated into social scandal in aristocratic circles. So Pope wrote this letter and poem within the intention to diffuse tension through humor and to soften the uh, offense taken by Arabelle and her family, to transform a matter of social vanity and pride into art and laughter. So he tries to turn the incident into a moral fable of how small things cause great disputes, all with elegant wit. The following poem is gentle satire on the little incident that made too much noise. It's a artistic justification. Pope clarifies in this letter that the poem is not personal attack or a mockery. It actually he justifies the use of mock epic style, retreating a trivial event in the grand manner of Homer and Virgil, as a way of combining art with humor. So he said, what I humbly offer is a kind of writing which may be called a sort of moral painting. So he compares his poem. So he compares his poem is a moral painting that reflects society's manner. It's not about blaming or shaming anyone, but about showing human follies in a way that entertains and enlightens. The aesthetic purpose is also representing here. Pope also writes this letter to present his literary experiment. He used classical epic machinery, like he gave reference to gods. He took reference of god, spirits, epic battles in a modern and fashionable setting. So this letter helps readers to understand the intention of the poet and the mock heroic tone of the poem. Pope even explained the machinery, which are supernatural beings, as an invention of the critiques. He cleverly acknowledging his classical influences like Homer's gods and Milton's angels, but adapting them for comic effect. There is a social commentary without offense. He assures Arable that the characters in the poem are fictionalized versions and that she is portraying with honor and charm, not ridicule. So Pope is very clear, very careful in stating that he is not attacking any real individual. The poem is aimed at behavior, not personalities. Arabelle's character, which is Belinda, is represented with grace, wit, and beauty. He delicately balances humor with respect, making sure that his satire does not offend anyone. So, the tone of the letter is very equally nuanced. It combines humility, humor, politeness, wit, and clever diplomacy. Uh, the Pope shows utmost respect for Arabelle throughout. His tone is courteous and self effacing. He uses words like humbly offer. He uses some phrases here to show his humbleness, and he expresses hope that she will not take offense. So this helps in showing that his intentions are noble, not sarcastic. So he walks a tightrope of diplomacy, trying to please both the families, justifying his satire and defend his art, all without hurting sentiments. This is visible in the way he presents the poem as harmless, tasteful, and morally instructive. He assures that nothing in the poem should offend the modesty of a lady or a decency of gentlemen. So while this letter is very diplomatic and tactful. While this letter is respectful, Pope's signature wit does come through, especially in the way he explains how trivial things become mighty contest. So he subtly mocks the social pretensions and vanity of the aristocracy without direct insults. The tone is so also scholarly as Pope talks about machinery, a poetic tradition, and classical reference. He subtly aligns himself with the great literary tradition like Milton, Homer, Virgil, but with a modern comic twist. So the entire tone of the letter is, and even of the poem, is calming and reconciliatory. He tried to smoothen the hurt feelings and bring both humor and perspective into a social conflict. So the tone is like that, a gracious friend or wise mediator who shows the art can heal, not just entertain. So in his letter to Mrs. Fermor, Pope performs a rare literary balancing art. He justifies his mock epic style with charm and logic. He transforms a real life tension into light-hearted art. He maintains politeness while delivering satire. He also offers a model of how wit, poetry, and diplomacy can work together to resolve social conflicts. Now we'll discuss the main points of the letter. The first is reconciliation through wit and art. So Pope's very first and primary intention is to pacify the tension between the Fermor and the Peter families, right? So the incident that triggered the quarrel, the cutting of a lock of hair, might seem trivial, but in the upper class society of 18th century England, honor and reputation were taken very seriously. Pope recognizes this and offers a solution, not by direct interference but through a work of art. His approach is not confrontational but creative and humorous. So, by transforming the real incident into a mock epic, Pope uses satire as a tool of reconciliation. He believes that if both families see their quarrel as the subject of a witty poem, they will be able to laugh at themselves and let go of their anger. So here we can say that art becomes a means of social healing, right? Now the next point is justification of mock heroic style. So Pope describes the poem as a moral painting, a kind of artwork meant not to ridicule but to reflect social behavior. He chooses the mock epic, mock heroic style. It's a grand epic format used for a trivial subject because it allows him to draw attention to the absurdities of the upper class, so without being directly offensive. So he assures Mrs. Arabelle Fermor that the poem is not personal but representative. So behind this point, Pope's idea is to defend. There's a defense of mock epic style is also a defense of modern poetic experimentation. He follows Augustan age tradition of imitating classical forms like Homer's epics, but uses them to portray modern life, especially the shallowness of aristocratic values, right? Now the third point is explanation of machinery. This is very important. You can see the previous year question papers, तो उस पर भी ये क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है कई बार. So Pope mentioned that the poem includes a system of machinery, which is a technical term actually for supernatural agents. So in the epic poetry, like gods in Homer or angels in Milton's poetry. So the machinery is a technical term for supernatural agents. So but in his poem, in the Rape of the Lock, he invents a set of airy spirits like sylphs, gnomes, nymphs, salamanders to match the fashion obsessed world of Belinda. So this aligns the poem structurally with classical epics while keeping the subject light-hearted. So Pope cleverly satirizes both classical literary tradition and contemporary aristocratic life. The inclusion of sylphs and spirits suggests that the people of the world are so detached from reality that only airy, whimsical spirits can rule their fates. So supernatural machinery becomes a metaphor for the artificiality of high society. The fourth point is assurance of respect and modesty. So Pope makes a deliberate effort to not offend Arable farmer. He states that the poem contains nothing indecent, indecent, and that the character based on her, Belinda, is treated with grace, beauty, and honor. Right? He wants her to know that the poem is satirical but not cruel. So this part of the letter shows Pope's awareness of the gender and class sensitivities of his time in a society where a woman's public image was fragile. So Pope's reassurance becomes important. He subtly argues that the real vanity lies not in his poem but in the social norms that allow such trivial matters to become scandals. Indirect social criticism. So through the letter, though the letter is respectful, Pope uses it to prepare readers for the poem's underlying social commentary. So, by describing the incident as a little piece of folly, he hints at the absurd priorities of the elite, where tea rituals, flirtation, and hairstyles are matters of serious concern. So, Pope uses this opportunity to present his views on moral emptiness of fashionable society. This poem, the poem, and by extension, this letter, uh, it becomes a way of showing how real conflict often arises from false pride and shallow values, and it also shows how personal vanity can lead to social discord, and art can elevate even minor events into mirrors of societal truths. So the last point is main point of the letter is presentation of poetry as a social tool. So Pope elevates his role from mere poet to a moral mediator. He presents his poem not only as entertainment but as a social service, bringing awareness, reconciliation, and self reflection. He even calls poetry a kind of writing that functions like painting, capturing human behavior with color and light. So this aligns with the Augustine ideal of poetry, where literature should both delight and instruct. So Pope's letter is a declaration of the poet's ability to influence minds and ease tension without sermonizing. So here we can see that poetry becomes a civilizing force. So this is all about Pope's letter to Arable farmer. For more, it's a master class in literary diplomacy. Each point he makes serves to protect the dignity of the woman involved. He defends his literary techniques. It reflects deeper truths about human behavior and society. While the surface tone is gentle, playful, and courteous, and the deeper layer reveals the brilliant fusion of wit, purpose, and satire. So, this letter is very important. It shows Pope's humility and cleverness. He explains his point, flatters the lady, and still defends his work as a art. It helps us to understand the intention behind the poem, not satire to insult, but satire to lighten the mood. It also prepares us to read the poem as a mock epic where the grand language is used to describe small social events. So, as we can see, the background of the rape of the lock, especially Alexander Pope's letter to Mrs. Arabelle Fermor, is full of meaning, humor, and historical discussion. Today's discussion has become quite detailed and lengthy, and that's a good thing because it helps us to understand the tone, purpose, and background of the poem deeply. So I think so. Instead of rushing through, we will begin the Canto 1 in the next lecture. so it can lead us to, maybe it may lead us to be confused. So we can begin Canto 1 in our next lecture, where we will go line by line discussion. We will discuss the meanings, literary devices, and poetic techniques uh, deeply. So we will begin Canto 1 in our next video, in our next lecture. So it's all about for today. Thank you for your patience, attention, and curiosity today. Let's meet in the next session with fresh energy to begin our journey into pop's poetic world, one canto at a time. Thank you. Good night.